Hello, this is a presentation titled Bring Your Own Device, BYOD, Assistive Technology for Stroke Survivors. This is originally given on May 23rd of 2024. So a quick introduction. I'm Neal Sorensen. I'm on the HealthPartners Digital Accessibility team, and I'm a certified professional in accessibility core competencies, which is a fancy way of saying that I've taken a test that certifies that I know a lot about disability. I worked with students for about 10 years in the area of student resources, disability services, training for assistive software, and that kind of thing. And most recently, I've been employed by HealthPartners in the area of web accessibility, and I've been doing that for about 3 years now. I'm also just a computer and tech geek. You'll also hear a video from Lori Neff, who is also on the digital accessibility team. She is a user experience designer turned accessibility guru. And yeah, she does a lot of work with the team, and we work on different products, but we collaborate quite often, and we're happy to do so for this presentation. So what we'll cover today is an introduction to what assistive technology is, and then I'll go into some more specifics about types of assistive technology that might be helpful for survivors of a stroke. And that's going to include ways to manipulate text and make it work better for you, ways to magnify a screen, how to read aloud using a digital device. Then we'll also talk about mobility and dexterity aids. I'm also going to talk about accessible services. So there are some library apps and services, and also where to try and buy assistive technology. So the question is, what is assistive technology? Well, AT, or assistive technology, is software or hardware that will help somebody complete a task that they need help with. So that can be something that's high tech or low tech. So something high tech might be like a piece of software or a device that someone might have with them. Then low tech could be something that, say, helps someone use a pen and paper. Then there's tools and software that may help people use computers and digital devices. And they can help with a lot of different things, such as vision and hearing, motor and touch, and also cognition. So here's a few examples of things that would qualify as assistive technology. First, digital assistants like Siri, Google Assistant, or Alexa. There's different aids for daily tasks. The picture here is a pen that has a molded piece of plastic that makes it easier to grip the pen. So that, say, someone with arthritis or a motor disability might be able to grip the pen a little easier. Then there's things like disability-specific devices, such as a video replay, which would allow a deaf person to use sign language, essentially over like a video conference call. It's also live captions, so there's lots of things built into your device that can help you understand the language that's being spoken. That can help in quiet environments, but it can also just help for basic understanding. Say with someone with dyslexia might really benefit from that. There's also ways to manipulate the text, such as making the text larger, or even say zooming a portion of the screen. We'll talk about both later. There's also things like voice control. So where you might use Siri or Google Assistant to, say, type a text message. You can also use different settings on the phone that will allow you to basically speak a command and say what you want to do, and it'll carry out the action for you. It's very slick. There's also help with reading. The picture here has what is called the immersive reader, which is in a lot of different Microsoft software products. This one is actually in Microsoft Edge, and I will be showing this to you later because it's a great free option. So these days, most devices have some sort of built-in technology that assists the user. These can be things like a text reader. So I have on my phone a feature called Select to Speak. I'm an Android user, and it allows me to basically do a gesture on the phone, and then I can tap a piece of text and it will read it aloud to me. There's also ways to change the text size, the contrast, or the font so that it's more legible or easier to see from a distance, or say if you don't have your glasses or something like that. And then there's also magnifiers on just about every device these days. So you can zoom in on a certain piece of the screen and make it easier to access the screen that way. So first topic is going to be text and reading. So here are some steps that you can take on a Macintosh or a Windows machine. Each of them has a way to read things aloud that is built in. So on a Mac, you go to System Settings, Accessibility, Spoken Content and Speech. Then you can toggle speech on. And from there, you can hit the shortcut, which I believe is Option Escape by default, and it will read a section of text or the entire page, depending on what application you're on. With Windows, there is no built-in reading app, but there is Microsoft Office and Edge, which both have the immersive reader. And if you're a little adventurous, you can go to Speechify. Speechify is a app that actually reads things in a natural sounding human voice. And they actually have celebrity voices, people like Snoop Dogg or Gwyneth Paltrow. You can have just about anything read by a different celebrity. Oh. So on iOS, it also has a read aloud feature, much like the Mac. You can do that by going to System Settings, Accessibility, Spoken Content and Speech, and then you toggle speech on. And you can also add a floating button that allows you to tap the button and it will expand a little toolbar with like a play button and I think they use a turtle and a rabbit to adjust the speed at which it's reading. Android phones also have a built-in text reader called Select to Speak, which I talked about earlier. You can access that by going to Settings, Accessibility, and then Select to Speak. And you can either add a gesture, which is 2 fingers from the bottom of the phone swiping up, or you can configure it so that if you just hold down the power button, it will launch the accessibility tools. So text and contrast. You can actually increase the size of text on your screen directly from the operating system. So on Windows 11, which I have right here, I'm going to open up the settings. Sorry, that's showing up on another window. There we go. You can either type it or the option is right here. And from here, there's a lot of different things you can adjust. So I'd encourage you to explore it a little bit. We're not going to talk about everything, but we'll talk about some of these. For text size, if we go to that, you can increase the size of the text that is shown automatically on the operating system. So if you like a bigger font, you can apply that. Oh, it takes a moment. Plan some time because it's going to say please wait and take a little bit of time for it to change over that setting. So that's how you change the text size on Windows. On a Mac, you can go to System Settings, choose Display, then go to Text Size / Increased Contrast, and the options will show up, and it will be pretty clear how to bump up the size of text. So on an iPhone or an iPad, it's also going to be under Settings, Accessibility, and then Display and Text Size. And there are so many options on iPad and an iPhone. you can really customize the look of your device. You can make it high contrast. You can make it, just a large font. You can do a lot of different things. On Android, you can go to Settings, Accessibility, Display Size and Text, then Font Size or High Contrast. And in though, in that piece of settings, yeah, you can basically do the same thing as iPhone. I think that iPhone has a few more options, but I think Android does a fine job. So Microsoft Edge is a very adaptive piece of software. I'm going to show a demo where Microsoft can read aloud in different lifelike voices, and it also has a nice feature where it follows along with highlighting. There's also Immersive Reader, which if you haven't tried it, it's very useful. It can adapt like an article to suit your needs. I can read aloud. You can adjust the text size and spacing and page color. And then there's also a reading mask. We're going to go over that right now. All right, so this is a web page. This is on Microsoft Edge browser, which a lot of people have feelings about Microsoft browsers because Internet Explorer wasn't great. It was a standard browser for a long time, but it's been replaced since by Edge. And actually, Edge is really good. The thing that sets Edge apart are the reading options, in my opinion. So Edge has a read aloud feature. You can either just click this button.
NASA's flagship mission to Europa has a problem: vulnerability to radiation. What keeps me awake right now is the uncertainty.
So it will add this this bar at the top of the screen, and it uses very nice, natural-sounding voices. They're not celebrities like Speechify, but they're very good sounding. You can also adjust the speed. So the normal speed would be here. I'm going to switch it to Emma. Let's hear what Emma sounds like.
Uncertainty. Eric Berger, July 12, 2024, enlarged / an artist's illustration of the Europa Clipper spacecraft during a flyby close to Jupiter's icy moon.
So they're very lifelike voices. If you've heard the kind of old style computer voices, these are much more understandable. They used to sound pretty robotic, but this one is, like I said, very lifelike. Another really good feature on Microsoft Edge, I can turn off the read aloud, but then over here we can go to the immersive reader. So it's either the F9 key on your keyboard, or there's a immersive reader icon on the URL bar. So clicking that, it opens the page in a reflowed, kind of reformatted page that kind of cuts out all the distractions. You see, you still get the content of the very nice photographs, but then it also reflows all of the text. And so there's ways to manipulate these as well. So if we go to text preferences, you can either make it smaller, you can make it really large, you can do a lot of things. Set it to about medium. You can also increase the text spacing, so that adds a little more space in the word, so it might be a little easier for you to read. Turn that off. You can also choose a font. So if you like a serif font, you can use Sitka. There's also Comic Sans, which is also often lauded, but it can be a very legible font. Some people really do like it for reading. There's also these page themes. So if you would like it to kind of look like a book and have this off-white background, you can do that. You can also have, say, like a gray background, black background. But then you can also expand for more themes, and you can get different colors. Say you want to read with a pink background. Well, we can do that. Or yellow or blue. It's kind of, whatever looks best to you. I prefer the dark ones. So those are the text preferences. If we go to reading preferences, there's something called line focus. Line focus is something I love. When we turn that on, I'm going to increase it to 3 lines. So this actually just sort of shades out part of the document and lets you just kind of have this port, which might help you read along. When I'm reading a book, I actually really do like having a ruler or some sort of a bar to kind of guide my eyes. And this kind of does the same thing, just on a computer screen. It's very handy. So you can have that up to 5 lines, you can have it 3 lines, or 1 line. And then also in here, you can do the read aloud voices as well.
NASA's flagship mission to Europa.
So that's a quick overview of Microsoft Edge. I really encourage you to check it out. So next, let's talk about accessible reading. So there's a few different options where you can get ebooks that will work really well for somebody who might need some support in reading. These can be audiobooks, they can be ebooks, and then built into your device, as we just went over, you can do a lot. You can have them read aloud for you. So the first one I want to talk about is probably my favorite. It's called Bookshare. People with a qualifying disability can sign up and get access to about 1.2 million titles, and it's always growing. I swear that number's always going up. When I first got it, it was like 700,000, and now they're up to 1.2 million titles. That includes newspapers and magazines and newer books as well. It does require a certification from a qualified professional, say a doctor, a therapist, any sort of physical therapist or occupational therapist would also be able to do that for you. An adult subscription costs $79.99 per year, and that's at www.bookshare.org. And they have a really, really it's a great service. You can get text in just about any way you need it. You can get it in an EPUB, which is a book format, and you can use that with the iBook application on an iPhone, or you can use it with, it's just called the Books app. It's called the Books app. It used to be called iBooks. On Android, you can use the Play Books app. But then there's lots of other third-party ones on the Play Store that you can get. You can also go to your county library. They have an app called Libby, which is by a company called Overdrive. And Libby lets you borrow ebooks and audiobooks from your local library, and you can save them directly to your device. If you happen to use a Kindle, you can actually have the ebook sent over to that Kindle, and you can have a copy there. So if you're used to reading using that device, then you can certainly do that with library books. All it requires is a free library card. Then you can get the Libby app at libbyapp.com. Then, of course, everybody knows Kindle. It's Amazon's reader. And, they're very good. Usually they have some sort of read aloud feature. They do a lot of these same features as Android because it's actually built on top of Android. And it has also apps for iOS and Kindle. So the Kindle books are an extra cost, and then there's Kindle Unlimited, which is another additional charge monthly. So let's talk about magnification and identify. So Mac and PC both have ways to magnify. On a Mac, you can go to System Settings, Accessibility, and then Zoom. And there are a lot of different features to enable there. And it allow you to zoom in your screen. So, and then also on a PC, you can go to Settings, Accessibility, Magnifier, and then toggle that magnifier on. And it's actually very easy to use. I can show you right in this presentation. I'm going to hit Windows key and then plus key. Oh, yeah, and it popped up over here. So this is the magnifier window that pops up. I'm just going to hit the Zoom key, or you can do Windows plus again. And you can go really far in. I'm at 600%, 700%. And you see it takes your screen and really kind of, blows it up. So I'm going to zoom out so that I don't get lost. And, there's a lot of other features in here. Oh, there's a read feature.
Slide text and contrast. Slide text and contrast.
Honestly, I did not know that this was a feature.
Read from here.
So we are discovering things together. There's also magnification on iPhone and iPad. You can access that on Settings, Accessibility, then Zoom. And on Android, you can go to Settings, Accessibility, and then Magnification. And there's a few different styles. You can either have a like a full screen magnifier, kind of like what we just saw with the Windows, and then you can also have like a little window that you can actually drag around the screen. And that's very handy. So there's print and image readers as well. Here there are some screenshots of the iPhone and their camera app. So what you can do is you can just point your phone at a piece of paper, take a picture of it, and then there's a little information icon with little stars around it. If you tap that, then it will automatically recognize the text. Also, on a iOS device, if you point it at a tag for washing instructions for a piece of clothing, it will tell you what all those icons mean. If it means that you need to wash on cold or tumble dry low, the iPhone can identify those symbols and tell you what they mean. You can also use it to identify and describe objects. Google Lens has a very similar function called Google Lens. After taking a photo, you can go to your photos. There's an icon at the bottom that says Lens. If you tap Lens, it will search your image, and if there's text, it will highlight the text, and you can actually have that read aloud. You can also have it translated. And then also, if you take a picture of an object, it will pick out, say, like a logo or the basic shape of what you're pointing the camera at, and then do a Google search using it. Android and iOS also have magnifier apps. On Android, you can go to the Play Store and search for Google Magnifier. And on iOS, you can go to the App Store and search for Apple Magnifier. There's also a lot of different third-party apps that have maybe some different features. But the screenshots here will show you that what you can do is take a picture and you can zoom in, and then you can also apply different color filters. So there's an example of white and blue, and you can kind of increase the contrast on those. There's also like yellow and black, red on black. It's really whatever works best for your eyes. It's worth it to kind of play around a little bit because there's a lot of different options. You can also use the magnifier live. So like if you're in a restaurant and wanting to read a menu and it's, the type is too small, you can take your phone out, get the magnifier going, and then set your zoom, and then you can actually just read it like it's a magnifying glass, except it's just using your camera and the screen on your phone. So computer adaptation. There's ways to make your computer work better for you. Let's talk about a few different ways that can be done. So for fine movements, there's a lot of different products that can make say like using a mouse easier. Steady Mouse is a application on Windows where if you have a hand tremor, or if your hand shakes, you can use this application to steady the amount of shake that the mouse has. Let's watch the video from their website. So you can see the cursor here is really darting around the screen. This is it off, and now turned on. It really smooths the input. So that might make it a little easier to, highlight over an icon and click it with more accuracy. So here's the paint. And there we go. Now they're drawing a nice little spiral. There's also different adaptations, such as a foot mouse. If you have some impairment in your hands, you can actually operate a computer using your foot. It's kind of like a little joystick for your foot, so you can slide that around and then tap a big button using your toes to move move the mouse around on your computer. There's also things like the add mouse, which is on the in the picture here. It adds some very big buttons, and so those buttons will control the mouse's movement. So if you want to move it right, you just hit the right arrow button. If you want to click, you hit that center button, and then there's other options as well. And we'll talk about where you might be able to find something like that. There's also switch access. So if there's a task that you repeat often, but you want to make it so that you just hit one button to do it, you can set that up. There are different either wired or wireless or Bluetooth buttons available online, and you can configure those to do several things. Like if you wanted to just launch your email, you can hit that button and it'll bring up your email. So there's also voice control. I mentioned that earlier, and see, every one of the major devices have some sort of voice control. On Windows, it's in the accessibility settings, and it's under the category speech. For Mac and for iOS, they're both called voice control, and they're in your accessibility settings. On Android, it is called voice access. And here we have a video with the wonderful Lori, and she will guide you on how to use a voice access on iOS.
Hi, my name is Lori, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use your voice to operate your phone or computer. I'll be using voice control today, which is a cool, free accessibility feature that's built into iPhones and Macs. If you are an Android user, Android has a feature called voice access that works very much the same. I'm starting off in my settings app. I'm going to accessibility, and under the physical and motor Hi, my name is Lori, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use your voice to operate your phone or computer. I'll be using voice control today, which is a cool, free accessibility feature that's built into iPhones and Macs. If you are an Android user, Android has a feature called voice access that works very much the same. I'm starting off in my settings app. I'm going to accessibility, and under the physical and motor section, I'm going to choose voice control and turn that on. Now I can speak commands and tell voice control what I want to do. Go home. Open photos. Show numbers. I'd like to edit a certain photo, number 8, and there's a number next to it, so I'm going to select that. Tap 8. Tap 8. Tap Edit. All right, now I'd like to zoom in and crop it, so I'm going to select number 7. Tap 7. Zoom in. Zoom in. Swipe left. Show grid. Drag 12 to 16. Nice. All right, now I want to rotate it a little bit. So I'm going to access the controls underneath the photo. Tap 17. Increment 18 by 25. Nice. All right, tap done. Awesome. Go back. Go home. Turn off voice control. Tap confirm. All right, that's it. And I hope this demo was helpful. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lori. So as you can see, there's a lot of different options for you to play with on an iPhone especially, and then also there's a lot of great voice control options on Android which work very much the same. You can turn on those numbers and kind of navigate the screen using that sort of interface. So thank you very much, Lori, for that demonstration. For some voice control examples, say you have like a Google Assistant, like a Nest Home or something like that, or you have Siri or Alexa. Things that you can do is if it's a say a screen, you can say show me what to say, and it will instruct you. It'll give you a little bit of a lesson on how it works. For navigation, you can say things like show the names or show grid, and you can kind of zero in on what area you want to work on. You can also say things like, hey Google, play YouTube on the TV, and it'll launch the YouTube app. You can also do things like open my email or send a message to Jane. Use that, especially if I'm driving or something like that. I'll just say text Jane, and then it'll bring up a little prompt saying, what do you want to send? And you just say, I'll be there in 15 minutes or something like that. And then you can yell send, and it'll send it. It's really, really great. You can also have iOS wake up when you look at the phone, so you won't have to unlock it. You can just sort of point the camera at your face, and then it unlocks it because it knows that it's you. So home assistants, a video assistant like the one we saw on the previous slide, it'll enable you to make video calls. On a Google device, it'll use the Google Meet app and call people using that. You can also use it to play and control media. I use my voice assistant a lot to pause my TV if I have to get up suddenly. And I don't have, quick access to the remote. You can also say you have one of these in your kitchen. You can say, look up a recipe, and, I need a recipe for chicken that I can make in 20 minutes. Then it'll pull up a lot of different options. It can also answer the door if you happen to have a camera doorbell. Those are also just really handy because, hey, if it's, a solicitor, you don't necessarily want to go and answer the door. So there's a lot of different uses for those video assistants. With sound assistants, they are just as useful. I use mine to play music and podcasts in my house, or have a show YouTube on my TV. You can also use them to make audio calls, or I think if you have multiple ones in the same house, you can tell it to broadcast a message, and it'll just start an intercom. So instead of having to go around to every room and yell, hey, dinner's ready, you can just say, hey Google or hey Siri, broadcast, dinner's ready, come and get it, and it'll just say that over the entire house. Very slick. You can also control smart homes and devices, so lights and doorbells, smart plugs, and TVs. So I have a few different smart lights and a smart plug in my house, and I really like it. The light actually turns on for me when I arrive home, just because I have set it up to do that. It's really nice. So some places where you can get assistive technology. If you are working with vocational rehabilitation, they might be able to connect you with some options, and sometimes they will even pay for it, depending on what services you're getting. Then there's also this program called Minnesota STAR. STAR stands for System of Technology to Achieve Results. And, politicians love their acronyms. What they do is they serve Minnesota residents who need assistive technology, and they serve them by providing device demonstrations. They might even be able to loan you a device. They can facilitate buying or selling a device, and then they also have a reuse program. There's a ton of different locations around the state, everywhere from Moorhead to Rochester and everywhere in between. And if you go to mn.at4all.com, you can visit their website and see what they have to offer. Let's check it out. So here's the Assistive Technology for All program. They have different categories. So if you want technology that works for computers, you can click this. There's one for daily living or environment, mobility and seating. Then there's also things like recreation, sports and leisure, vision and vehicle modification and transportation. Let's look at daily living because there's some really cool things here. Here you can actually borrow a Alexa or an Amazon Echo. Okay, they have things like tablet stand. So if you want to mount a tablet somewhere, you can use one of those. See a bedside fire and alarm clock. Here are some interesting ones. The St. Paul and the Moorhead locations have these liftware forks and spoons. And what they do is they allow you to scoop up some soup, and then the device will actually keep the spoon level. So even if you are bending your wrist in different ways, there's a motor inside that will actually keep it aligned with the ground, so you can more easily keep the spoon steady. Also, things like a dry food measuring system. So a lot of different things that can help you do the different things that you like to do. There's really adaptations for all kinds of things. Oh yeah, this is a really cool one that I've seen before, is a medication dispenser. So you can program this to dispense medications on different parts of the day, up to 4 times a day. So if you have a lot of different ones to keep track of, this will help you to keep track of that. So then there's also some recreation. So since they serve the entire population of Minnesota, there's of course some toys in here, or adaptive gaming. But then there's things like the bowling ball pushers. This is a handle that you can use to project a bowling ball down a lane. There's also something like a fishing pole holder for wheelchairs, or the Freedom Tent, which is an accessible, ADA accessible tent. So if you like to go camping, this is a way that can be a little easier. And this is also pretty cool. You can check out a Kindle. So if you're not sure if you want one of these, you can just try it using the Minnesota STAR program. So definitely go to this website and check out what they have, because it's free for Minnesotans. It's well worth it. So different resources and services. We have the Apple App Store, which is going to be the place where you get pretty much every app on an Apple device. You can go to the Google Play Store, like on your Android device, and get any of the assistive tech that we were talking about today. Then there's also Microsoft Edge, which should be pre-installed on your Windows device, but you can also go to Microsoft.com and download it there. So thank you so much for listening to my talk. I really hope that you are able to try some of these things, and I hope that they, improve the way that you're getting by in your day-to-day tasks. That's really the big reason that assistive technology exists and why they build these features into the phones, because, it can help a lot of people. Personally, I use these things every day. Not just because I work on them. No, it's also because I am dyslexic and I like to, have my text read to me. So it is a huge help, and I hope that you find some ways to make use of that. Thank you.